Hello everyone, and welcome to the problem session 2 of the course video lecture series Antenna and Wave Propagation. And in continuation with our last problem session, which was designed for understanding of spherical coordinate system, now we are going to solve, or we are going to understand some more problems related to antenna and wave propagation, and which relies on this spherical coordinate system. Understanding of spherical coordinate system will be enhanced if we understand these problems on antenna and wave propagation. Okay. So the question is in front of you. The electric field vector in far field region of an antenna is given by E, and the curly vector over E is used to represent phasor. So E with this curly vector is known as electric field phasor. This is our notation for our sake of simplicity. So E field phasor is given by cos theta cos phi minus of cos theta cos phi a theta cap plus sin phi a phi cap. E0 e to the power minus j k r upon r, where theta, phi and r are the usual spherical coordinates as we already understood. E0 is an arbitrary constant which shows the magnitude of the electric field intensity, a constant. And we have to plot the power radiation pattern as a function of theta in these planes for phi equals to 0 plane and phi equals to 90. So there are many things to understand here. Number one, what you have given is electric field intensity phasor. Okay. So, and in this electric field intensity phasor, E0 is an arbitrary constant. And there are two components of electric field intensity phasor. One is a theta cap, one is a phi cap. Generally, this expression means that when you place an antenna on the origin of the spherical coordinate system, a wave starts propagating, and this wave will be the radiation radiated by the antenna itself. When this wave radiated in a particular direction, that direction, the direction from origin into the direction, or I should say the direction from origin in which the wave is propagating, is the direction of wave propagation. As you can see, that direction is known as AR cap. Okay, for any particular point, the direction from origin to that point will be the path along which a wave is propagating from origin to that point, and that path is having a unit vector AR cap. So AR cap, or the radial unit vector, is the direction of wave propagation. And as you can see, electric field intensity is not having any component along AR cap. So electric field intensity is having now two components only. One is a theta cap, and another one is a phi cap. And in our last session, we had proved that spherical coordinate system is an orthogonal coordinate system. That means AR cap, a theta cap, and a phi cap all are mutually perpendicular to each other. So in that sense, electric field intensity is having two components, a theta cap and a phi cap, and both these two components are perpendicular to the direction of propagation AR cap. Okay, keep this thing in mind. These are some of the things. The term e to the power minus j k r upon r, this term is responsible for the retardation. That means this term produces or is responsible for delay between excitation at source and their effect at the observation point. Okay, if source is producing some variation, these variation take some time based on this e to the power minus j k r upon r term to reach at point of observation, point P, suppose. Okay, so this is first thing to understand from here. Second thing is the power pattern. What is the meaning of power pattern, or what is the meaning of power radiation pattern? So power radiation pattern is the suppose you have placed an antenna over on the origin of spherical coordinate system, and this antenna is radiating all around it in different direction. It is having different magnitude. If suppose along x-axis or along suppose y-axis it radiates maximum, in that case maximum of the power will be radiated along y direction, and suppose that along z direction it is radiating minimum. Now obviously, since it is radiating maximum power along y direction, waves along y direction will reach up to a larger distance, or will travel up to a larger distance, and as compared to z axis in which it is radiating minimum power. So since the wave in z-axis direction are having minimum power, they will travel up to a very small distance. Or you should say, if you want to compare these two waves, their magnitudes or their strength at same distance. Suppose L distance along y-axis and suppose L distance along z-axis. So their magnitude on the same distance along y-axis and z-axis, the magnitude will be more in y direction because more power is radiated along y direction, and it is less along the z direction as the less power is radiated along the uh, z direction. So correspondingly, power radiation pattern, if you want to find power radiation pattern due to antenna, you have to find the received power on the periphery of a sphere of some constant radius. Some radius, you assume that radius to be r. Okay, so if you take this r as a constant, as you can see this r here in the expression of field intensity, you have to keep this r constant, or you have to make this electric field intensity vector free of this r using some quantity. So what is power pattern? We find the net power radiated by the antenna, or net power density in different direction radiated by the antenna, number one. If this power density is generally a function of r, because as you travel more distance, this power density reduces. So then we try to remove the dependency of this power density on r, and we generally, in our case, we do it by finding equivalent radiation intensity to the power density. As we will go on the numerical, you can see. And once we have this radiation intensity is free of distance. There is no effect of distance. Radiation distance intensity is just the power radiated per unit solid angle. So then we try to measure, or then we try to plot the received power on the surface of a sphere with transmitting antenna placed at its center. Okay, as we had already performed many experiments in our laboratory, the uh, the power pattern or the radiation pattern is plotted by placing antenna at a certain position. We call this position as origin, and then we fix the radius. When we fix the radius between transmitter, or distance between transmitter and receiver, and then we try to rotate this receiver around the transmitter on keeping this constant distance between them. That means moving around a circular arc. Or if you perform the same experiment in 3D, you roam this receive antenna around the surface of a sphere, and at different point we try to find different received power, and we plot this received power to get the received power pattern. Okay, so what I had told you, when we will perform this numerical, I hope we'll be more comfortable with this. Now the third thing to understand is the phi equals to 0 degree plane and phi equals to 90 degree plane, in which we have to plot this power radiation pattern. So phi equals to 0 degree plane, as we have already described in our first question last day, that phi equals to 0 degree plane is the plane xz plane. Exact plane, for any point lying in exact plane, phi is always 0. Remaining, you cannot say anything about theta and r. R depends on the distance from point from origin, and theta depends on the location, but phi is always 0 in xz plane. And similarly, phi equals to 90 degree plane is the yz plane itself. Okay, so we have to plot the radiation pattern in phi equals to 0 and phi equals to 90 degree plane. What does this mean? Later on we will see that when we have resultant radiation intensity, we substitute phi equals to 0 in that expression to find the radiation pattern in phi equals to 0 plane, or we substitute phi equals to 90 degree to find the radiation pattern in phi equals to 90 degree plane. Okay, so let us start to solve this question. First of all, we will solve the expression for phi equals to 0 plane. So as you can see here, the expression for electric field intensity is given by E phasor is equals to minus A theta cap cos theta cos phi plus A phi cap sin phi E0 e to the power minus j k r upon r. In order to find the resultant field in this particular direction, obviously the field is a function of phi and theta. So obviously the radiated power or power density or radiation intensity all will be the function of theta. and phi. That's why we substitute this phi equals to 0 in the expression of electric field intensity. Okay. So in phi equals to 0 plane or exact plane, we have electric field expression E is equals to this expression. What is the difference between this expression and the given expression? In the given expression, phi is general. Phi can take any value, but in this particular expression, we substitute phi by 0 degree. So when you do that, you have E is equals to minus of A theta cap theta cos 0 plus A phi cap sin 0 into E0 e to the power minus j k r upon r. This is the electric field intensity in xz plane. Okay. So as we know, sine 0 is 0. That's why A phi cap component is 0. That means electric field intensity has no phi component in xz plane. Correspondingly, E is given by minus of A theta cap cos theta E0 e to the power minus j k r upon. Okay. Now we know that if this is electric field intensity at any point, what this electric field intensity is representing, or what the given electric field intensity is representing. So as I told you, that if you are placing an antenna at the origin of spherical coordinate system and some radiation starts propagating in a specific direction, AR cap, then AR cap is known as the direction of propagation of wave. At any point in the medium or at any point on the path of propagation of wave, electric field intensity is given by that particular expression. Okay, for example, at any point of observation P, we have some values of r, theta and phi, and when you substitute those theta values of r, theta and phi in the expression given of electric field phasor, then you find electric field intensity at that particular point. So in xz plane, this is the expression at any particular point r, theta and 0, because phi is 0 in xz plane. Okay, so this is the expression for electric field intensity in xz plane at any arbitrary point. Now we know that if you have electric field intensity at any particular phasor, you can at a particular point you can find the power density at that particular point. What is the meaning of power density? So when antenna starts radiating, it radiates waves or radiation in all possible direction, and in that case, at any particular point you can find power crossing through a unit area at that particular point or placed at that particular point. Okay, so power crossing through a unit area will be known as power density or average power density, in case since these are phasors and it's an harmonic wave. So what we are interested is not power density, rather it is the average power density. So the average power density in case of these harmonic fields or electromagnetic wave is known as Poynting vector. So the power density or Poynting vector at that particular point on which we are as we had considered this point in exact plane, is given by S is equals to 1 by 2 real part of E cross H star. This is a general expression for Poynting vector or power density at a particular point. Okay, and the direction of this is along the radial direction. So we are considering only the magnitude. Okay, we are not taking the direction here. So 1 by 2 real part of E cross H star will be the Poynting vector. And we know that in an electromagnetic field, electric field and magnetic field are related by the expression H is equals to E by eta, where eta is the intrinsic impedance of the medium. Okay, 125 for free space. So we replace H by E upon eta whole square, and generally for our consideration, we consider eta to be real quantity. So we keep everything outside. This RE means real part of this quantity. So we have E phasor into E phasor star. What is this meaning of star? So the meaning of star is the complex conjugate. And we know very well that if we have a complex quantity E and its complex conjugate E star, their product gives the magnitude square of the complex quantity. And correspondingly, equivalently 1 by 2 real part of E phasor cross E phasor star upon eta can be written as 1 by 2 eta into E cross E star will be equivalent to mod of electric field intensity phasor square. Okay, and what is the magnitude of this electric field intensity phasor? So if we look at the expression for electric field intensity phasor in exact plane or phi equals to 0 plane, the magnitude is this quantity, number 1, cos theta E0 e to the power minus j k r upon r. Also, if we want to find the magnitude of this whole quantity, that will be equals to cos theta is constant, it will be there, E0 is constant, it will be there, R is, it will be there. So all these things are real, so they remain here. But e to the power minus j k r can be written as cos kr minus j sin kr, and magnitude of this complex number will be 1. Correspondingly, this e to the power minus j kr term will be removed, and we have the magnitude e square as cos theta e0 upon r whole square, or cos square theta e0 square upon r square. This is the power density at point P in the direction of propagation of wave. Okay. So this is the second step. Then, as I told you, in order to plot the power radiation pattern, the dependency of the power density on R should be removed, and it can be removed by converting this power density to radiation intensity. Radiation intensity is power per unit solid angle, and the relation between radiation intensity U theta phi is given by R square mod of S. So this is mod of S. We substitute it here, and what we have is 1 upon 2 eta E0 square cos per theta. Hence, this is the distribution of power. This is the distribution of power or radiation intensity in this XZ plane. Okay, keep this thing in mind. This is the power distribution of radiation intensity in XZ plane given by this particular expression. Okay, and power radiation pattern is equivalent to plot the radiation intensity. Now our objective as given in the question is to plot this radiation intensity with respect to theta. So you have theta here, and when you start varying theta from 0 to pi, as you know that theta is the second coordinate of spherical coordinate system, and it can vary from 0 to pi. When you vary it from 0 to pi, you find this particular direction, and in the opposite direction you'll get the same values for theta. So as you can see, the expression u theta phi is maximum when theta equals to 0. Theta equals to 0 means z-axis. This is the plot. You can see it's a two-dimensional plot or xz plane only. Here you are having positive x, here you are having negative x, here you are having z, here you are having minus z, and xz plane is represented by phi equals to 0 plane as asked in the first question. So now we plot this expression 1 upon 2 eta E0 square cos square theta. So we know that along z axis theta is equals to 0, along minus z axis theta equals to pi, and as you move from theta equals to 0 to positive axis to minus z, or theta equals to 0 to negative axis to minus z, you increase the values of 0 theta from 0 to 180. As you can see, positive x and negative x both are theta equals to 90 degree as represented in the diagram. So substituting the values, you find the radiation pattern looks like this. Okay, so heading to the next next we have to find the same radiation pattern or power radiation pattern in phi equals to 90 degree plane. As I have mentioned already that phi equals to 90 degree plane is the YZ plane, in which for every point lying in YZ plane, phi is always 90 degree. And you cannot say anything about other coordinates r and theta. So first of all, we substitute phi equals to 90 degree in electric field intensity plane. That will give you E is equals to minus a theta cap cos theta cos 90 plus a phi cap sin 90, remaining E0 to the power minus j kr upon r as remain as it is. So cos 90 is 0, and finally we have E is equals to a phi cap E0 to the power minus j kr upon r. Using the same methodology, the pointing vector is given by S is equals to 1 upon 2 eta magnitude of electric field intensity phasor. Substituting the electric field intensity phasor, the magnitude is just E0 upon r, because magnitude of e to the power minus j kr is 1. So we have E0 upon r into whole square into 1 upon 2 eta, and you can see there is no dependency of pointing vector on theta. Anyway, it is having dependency on r square, so we remove the dependency on r square by finding or converting it to radiation intensity. Radiation intensity is u is given by r square mod of s, which is equals to 1.2 eta E0 square. Now you can see radiation intensity is also not having any dependency on theta. Since phi is constant, since we are plotting the radiation intensity in YZ plane, that's why phi is 90 degree, phi is fixed. So we are not concerned about the variation in phi. As you can see, this expression is free of theta and phi both. Now in YZ plane, if you vary theta from 0 to pi, you will as you can see, this is YZ plane. Here you are having positive y, here you are having negative y, positive z, negative z. This is theta equals to 0, theta equals to 180, and the whole plane perpendicular to z axis is theta equals to 90 degree. So y and minus y are also theta equals to 90 degree. And you find from this expression that as you vary theta from 0 to 180, there will be no variation in magnitude of radiation intensity, and correspondingly what you get is a circular radiation pattern along YZ plane. Okay, so if you want to think of this radiation pattern, in YZ plane or in in 3 dimension, what do you think? What would be? I mean, how this radiation pattern will be in three-dimensional radiation pattern. So as you know, it is having a donut or a shape like 8 in XZ plane, and it is having radiation pattern of a circle in YZ plane. So jointly, these two things will represent the three-dimensional radiation pattern of this given electric field intensity radiation. Okay, so this is our first question, and now we move to the next. Okay, so now we are heading to our next question. So this is our next question. To calculate the directivity of an antenna, radiation intensity for which is given by this expression. Okay. So we know that radiation intensity means the power radiated per unit solid angle. You assume an antenna, and don't bother about the distance at which you have to receive the antenna. Just imagine about an antenna, and it is placed at the origin, and it is radiating power all around. Now, if you consider a cone with center on the antenna, and it is extending in a particular direction. Okay, so this cone is having some space. Okay, some three-dimensional space, and this measure of this three-dimensional space between the cone is known as the solid angle. Okay, and this solid angle, in this particular value of the solid angle, some power is radiated. If we assume that this solid angle subtended by the cone on the antenna is suppose theta in that case, or suppose omega, in that case power radiated per unit solid angle will be given by that power crossing through this cone divided by the solid angle unit. Okay, and that value is the radiation intensity U theta phi. Now you can see the U theta phi radiation intensity is given as sin theta sin phi when theta is varying from 0 to pi and phi is varying from 0 to pi. So the region in which theta is varying from 0 to pi is the whole three-dimensional region, the whole area around it, in the spherical coordinate system. But for when you restrict pi from 0 to pi only, you are thinking about the region in which x can vary from plus x to minus x, z can vary from plus z to minus z, but y should be always positive. It is in the half portion in the right of the exact plane. Okay, and for the remaining half, for pi values of phi from pi to 2 pi, it is the remaining half, the left portion to the exact plane. I hope it is comfortable to you. So this is the radiation intensity given to you, and when you have radiation intensity, you have to find the directivity of the antenna. What is the meaning of directivity of the antenna? So directivity of the antenna is the measure of how much power is focused in what direction, or better is to find the better is to understand it in terms of the expression for directivity, which is the radiation intensity upon average radiation intensity. Okay, so radiation intensity means the given radiation intensity, given to you, and the average radiation intensity means, so average radiation intensity means if you suppose that you are having an isotropic antenna instead of this particular antenna, this is the expression for radiation intensity for a given antenna. If you do not consider this antenna, rather you consider the same power fed to this antenna is given to an isotropic antenna. Suppose that power is P rate, total power P rate is given to an isotropic antenna. And when this antenna radiates, an isotropic antenna is one which radiates equally in all possible directions. Okay, so when it radiates equally, it radiates the whole power on in a radius of constant radius, in a sphere of constant radius. Okay, and we know when it radiates all around it, the total solid angle in which it is radiating is given by 4 pi. Okay, so we can say that an isotropic antenna radiates the total power fed to it or total power radiated by period into a cone of solid angle 4 pi. And therefore, the average radiation intensity or radiation intensity for isotropic antenna is given by period upon 4 pi. The total power radiated divided by 4 pi. So when we substitute u theta phi divided by u average, and we substitute the period upon 4 pi in place of u average, you find that expression for directivity is given by this. Okay, so this quantity will give you will again give you a radiation pattern in which you get maxima in some of the direction in which the maximum power is going, or the directional characteristics of the antenna is maximum, or it is the more power is transmitted in that particular direction, then you get maximum of this. And in some particular direction where less power is transmitted, directivity become minimum. So our objective is to find this. Of course, for finding directivity, u theta phi is already known to you. Your objective is to find P rad, total power radiated. Okay. So how do you find P rad? This is given as the power radiated per unit solid angle. If you have power radiated per unit solid angle, then in order to find the total power, you have to integrate this u theta phi over all possible solid angles. We know that elementary solid angle is given by elementary solid angle is represented by d omega, a small solid angle. Almost tending to zero solid angle is represented by d omega, and the expression for this d omega is sine theta d theta d phi in a spherical coordinate system. We had already, been through this in our classroom sessions. Okay. Now, since u theta phi is the radiation intensity per unit solid angle, then u theta phi d omega will be power radiated through d omega solid angle. Only this. Okay. Don't take this integration. I am telling that u theta phi into d omega, this portion, this argument inside the integration is representing the radiated power through a very small solid angle d omega. Once you have power radiated through very small solid angle d omega, and we need to find the total power radiated, what we do? We integrate this over the whole power, whole possible region around the antenna. So when we integrate it over the region around the antenna, so the region we consider spherical. And for this region, theta varies from 0 to pi. As we know, in spherical coordinate system, theta varies from 0 to pi and phi varies from 0 to pi. As given that u theta phi, the radiation intensity, is having some expression sine theta sine phi for the range theta equals to 0 to pi and phi equals to 0 to pi, and it is 0 otherwise for theta 0 to pi and phi pi to 2 pi. So we substitute the same thing, integrating from theta equals to 0 to pi and phi equals to 0 to pi, and substituting u sine theta sine phi in place of u theta phi. So we have this sine theta sine phi into the sine theta d theta d phi itself, plus integration from 0 to pi and pi to 2 pi. So sine theta sine phi in place of sine theta sine phi, u theta phi is 0 now in this particular region, and remaining sine theta d theta d phi as it is. So this quantity, this second integration is 0, and first integration will give you this particular expression. Theta equals to 0 to pi, phi equals to 0 to pi, sine square theta sine phi d theta d phi, and the theta equals to 0 to pi, phi equals to, when you integrate it, now the integration is very simpler. You can write this sine square theta as 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2, and when you perform double integration, integration with respect to one variable, the other variable is considered as constant. So when we first of all perform the integration with respect to phi, and the remaining, the theta dependent terms will work as constant with respect to phi. So 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2 considered as constant, they comes out of the integration. When you perform integration of sine phi with respect to phi, the integration will equals to 2. As you can see, the integration will be minus cos phi, limit, substituting the limits, you have 2, and these 2 and 2 cancel out, and finally 1 minus cos 2 theta integrated with 3 theta will give you total power radiated as pi. Okay, the integration is up to you. I am not interested in telling you how to perform this integration. So total power radiated is given by pi. So if the antenna is radiating total power pi, if total power pi is fed to an isotropic antenna, the average radiation intensity is given by pi by 4 pi. And the given radiation intensity you know very well. So directivity d theta phi will be equals to 4 pi u theta phi divided by p rad. P rad is pi. So you divide this pi by 4 pi, and what you have is directivity given by 4 times of u theta phi, or d theta phi. By substituting the expression for u theta phi, d theta phi can be written as this expression. One more thing we can tell it about, that d theta phi, the maximum value of directivity will be along the directions when sin theta and sin phi both maximum. Both will be maximum when theta equals to pi by 2 and phi equals to pi by 2. So along the direction theta equals to pi by 2, phi equals to pi by 2, you get maximum directivity given by 4. And in any other direction, the directivity is always less than this value before. Okay, so sin theta, sin phi, so that will be the our second numerical. Okay, so this is our third question. In third question, we have to find the polarization of a wave. So the question is, what is the polarization of a wave propagating in r direction? R direction means the direction from origin to point of propagation. So in r direction, if its electric field intensity phasor is given by E is equals to A theta plus J A. From the messages or the electric field intensity is well interpreted as we have already done in the first question of this particular session. And the thing which is to be understood here is the meaning of polarization. What is the meaning of polarization? Okay, so suppose in this particular figure, an antenna is placed here at the origin. Okay, and the wave starts propagating in this particular direction. So direction OP is AR cap, in which the wave is propagating. And given to you is electric field intensity having two components. One is A theta and one is A phi. So at any point on the path of propagation P, the AR cap is direction of propagation of wave. A theta cap is somewhere in this particular direction, and A phi cap is somewhere in the direction. And we know that all these three vectors are mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, so what does it tells? That electric field intensity is having two directions. It is having one component along A theta direction and one is along A phi direction. In very simple sense, I can tell you, if you want to understand in a different sense, you can consider, please don't confuse yourself. I am just telling you to consider it as a case. Suppose the wave is propagating along Y direction. Okay, the point P is on Y. In that case, AR cap and AY cap both are same. And in that case, you can consider A theta cap to be along negative Z axis and A phi cap to be along minus X axis. Okay, so you can think of that AR cap is along AY, A theta cap is along minus AZ, which is perpendicular to AR, and A phi cap is along minus AX, which is perpendicular to both. And in this manner, all three coordinates are perpendicular to each other. And electric field intensity is having these two components, which is harmonic, which is also time varying, which is also oscillating. So with respect to time, electric field intensity along x-axis is varying, electric field intensity along z-axis is varying, and the resultant will be the resultant of these two vectors at any particular time. Okay, so component along A theta cap and component along A phi cap, their resultant will be the resultant electric field intensity at any given point, which is given by this particular expression E. Okay, now what is the meaning of polarization? If a wave is propagating along this AR cap direction, and if suppose you are standing on this origin, and you are looking this wave from O towards P, you are looking in the direction of wave propagation. In that case, the path traced by the electric field intensity phasor. Obviously, as we had considered, or as we have understood in our class, that as the A theta and A phi component of electric field intensity varies with respect to time, the resultant electric field intensity will change. The direction of and the magnitude of electric field intensity both may change. Okay, it will be always in a plane perpendicular to the direction of propagation of wave, but it may follow a circular path, it may follow an elliptic path, it may follow a linear path also. So depending on what is the path traced by the electric field phasor in the as seen in the direction of wave propagation is known as polarization, and our objective is to find that polarization. Okay, so how do you find that polarization? In order to find that polarization, first of all, we have to, because the polarization is not due to phasor, the polarization is due to the time dependent behavior. Okay, you see the different polarization because the waves are because the waves are varying, or the oscillations of electric field intensity is time dependent. Okay, so first of all, our objective is to convert these phasors to instantaneous field quantity, and we know that instantaneous field intensity or instantaneous field quantity E, you can see now the vector on E is solid vector, and as a convention we use this solid vector as instantaneous quantity or instantaneous electric field equivalent to this electric field phasor with curly vector. So instantaneous electric field is given by a real part of phasor into e to the power j omega t at any point p. When you substitute E is equals to a theta cap plus j a phi cap into e to the power j omega t, and you substitute cos omega t plus j sin omega t for e to the power j omega t, the real part will be equivalent to this portion, a theta cap cos omega t minus a phi cap sin omega t. Okay. Okay. So now our objective is to understand what is going on, or what is the meaning, or what is the when you see in the direction of wave propagation, how the electric field intensity rotation is going on. Okay. So first of all, we try to plot it. So this is the direction of AR cap. This origin is somewhere here, and in this particular direction, the wave is propagating along AR cap. This is a theta cap direction, and this is a phi cap direction. This is the usual. This black is the usual convention, usual spherical coordinate convention, and opposite to a phi cap is minus a phi cap. Okay, so at t equals to 0, when you substitute t equals to 0 in the figure, you have sine of 0. Sine of 0 is 0, and resultant will be just a theta cap cos 0, and cos 0 is 1. So you find that electric field intensity at t equals to 0 is a unit vector along a theta cap direction. Electric field intensity at t equals to 0 is a theta cap, unit vector along theta direction. So net electric field at t equals to 0 will be in this particular direction. Okay, and what will be the magnitude of this electric field intensity? So magnitude is 1, because electric field intensity is just a unit vector. Okay, at which time? At time t equals to 0. Okay, now if we suppose we put time value such that omega t become pi by 2. So omega t become pi by 2, that means at time t equals to pi by 2 omega, when you substitute t equals to pi by 2 omega in the expression, you found that omega t will be pi by 2. So at t equals to pi by 2 omega, electric field intensity phasor will have a theta cap cos pi by 2 minus a phi cap sin pi by 2. Cos pi by 2 is 0, that's why a theta cap cos pi by 2 is 0, and we have resultant as minus a phi sin pi by 2. Sin pi by 2 is 1. So resultant electric field intensity is just minus a phi cap. At which position? So at the position when, at which time? At the time when t is equals to pi by 2 omega. So at time t equals to pi by 2 omega, resultant electric field intensity is given by this vector, minus a phi cap on. Okay, this vector, minus a phi cap. This sin omega t is not relevant here. Okay, this is by mistaken is written over there. There is no meaning of it. So electric field intensity is having resultant vector in this particular direction. Okay, now where is the observer? So the observer is somewhere here. He is looking in the direction of wave propagation, and when he looks, he found that initially at t equals to 0, the electric field intensity phasor is here with magnitude 1, and as time elapses, it rotates from here, this a theta cap direction, to minus a phi cap direction with same magnitude. The magnitude same, but it is rotating and going into minus a phi cap. Later on, with increasing time, it rotates with same magnitude and comes to minus a theta, and then goes to a phi, and then goes to a theta, and so on and so on. With same magnitude, magnitude will remain same. You can test, you can check for this. For varying time, you substitute t is equals to pi by omega, you substitute t is equals to 3 pi by 2 omega, and so on and so on. So later on, when you do this, you find that the magnitude remains same. Magnitude is 1 at any time. You can check. You substitute any random time, you can check, the magnitude will remain same, and the position varies from in this particular fashion, from a theta to minus a phi, from minus a phi to minus a theta, from minus a theta to a phi, and a phi to a theta. When you see from the observer end, when you see in the direction of wave propagation, it looks like this. The expression looks like, or the rotation looks like this. Is the direction a phi. Okay, as you can see, you can compare these two figures. Okay, when the observer is behind this picture, when the observer is here somewhere in the and looking in the direction of AR cap, a phi minus a phi cap will be on the right hand side. So the same thing here, minus a phi cap will be on the right hand side of the observer, a phi cap on the left, a theta cap on down, and a minus a theta cap on the upper. Initially, you are the electric field intensity phasor at t equals to 0 is here. Yes, at t equals to 0 it is here. At t equals to pi by 2 omega it is here, and it is rotating in this particular direction. Hence, what an observer sees, what will be the path traced by the tip of electric field intensity? It is a circle. You can see. Okay, and this circle is rotating in anti-clockwise direction. Okay. So since the path traversed by the electric field phasor as seen from in the direction of wave propagation, it's a circle. Therefore, it is a circularly polarized wave, number one. But circular polarized wave can also be of two types. It can be a right circularly polarized wave or left circularly polarized wave. So when we find a circular polarization in such a manner that the electric field vector is rotating in anti-clockwise direction, it is known as left circularly polarized, and therefore it is a left circularly polarized. Okay, in this manner we can visualize the polarization. A similar question I have left for you. This is to find the polarization for a wave with electric phasor given by j a theta cap plus a phi cap. Okay. And you perform the same experiment with the same methodology, same method as we have performed to solve this particular equation. Okay. Okay. So now we are heading towards the next question. Now the next question is little theoretical now, and here we have to prove these equations. Del square E plus K square E is equals to 0, and del square H plus K square H is equals to 0. These equations are known as differential wave equations in 3 dimensions. So we have to prove these equations for a source-free region in which E and H field are given. E and H field means the electromagnetic field is there in the source-free region, and we have to prove that electromagnetic field satisfy this particular equations. Okay, and since E and H both are with curly vectors, they are the phasor quantity. What is the meaning of this question? So the meaning of the question is that suppose there exists an electromagnetic field in the space in a particular region. Okay, and the region is source free. The region is source free means there is no current density, there is no charge available, no free charges, nothing is available. It is completely vacuum, and electric field intensity and electromagnetic wave present there. We know that when electromagnetic field is present in a particular region or at any particular point, at that particular point, all four Maxwell equations should satisfy. Okay, and in phasor term, the Maxwell equations are given by this particular equation. So del cross E phasor is equals to minus j omega mu h. Del cross H is equals to j omega epsilon E plus j. Del dot D is equals to rho v, and del dot B is equals to 0. What is E? E is electric field intensity phasor. H is magnetic field intensity phasor. J is current density phasor. D is displacement vector. Okay, this is the contribution of Maxwell as you know very well, that all these four equations are given by four renowned scientists, and the contribution of Maxwell is to introduce a term known as the displacement vector. This displacement vector combines all these four equations in a single framework, which define an electromagnetic field uniquely. Okay, so this D is displacement vector. Rho v is volume charge density. This is displacement phasor actually. Rho v is volume charge density in the medium, and B is magnetic flux density. And as we as given to us that the medium is source free, so the current density J and volume charge density rho v both are zero. We also know that by the constitutive relation, electric flux density, displacement current D is equals to given by electric field intensity by epsilon. So, epsilon into electric field intensity. So we can substitute D by epsilon E. Epsilon is the permittivity of the medium, and correspondingly del dot epsilon E will be equals to rho v. Since epsilon is a constant, we keep it outside from this divergence equation and move it to the next side. We find that del dot E is equals to rho v by epsilon. By the way, this is the Gauss law. And del dot B is equals to 0. B is magnetic flux density. And from constitutive relation, we know that B is given by mu into H, where H is field, magnetic field intensity. And correspondingly, we substitute B is equals to mu H in this equation. So del dot mu H is equals to 0. And of course, mu is the permeability of the medium. Mu is constant. We take it outside from the divergence. And so what we have is del dot H is equals to 0. So these four equations are in phasor form, and in a source-free medium, these equations can be written as written in this particular form. We have removed all the sources. We have considered rho v equals to 0. We have considered J equals to 0. Okay. Now, in order to prove these above these equations, we know as given to us that an electromagnetic field is present at any particular point in the source-free medium. That means these four equations are satisfied at that particular point. If electromagnetic field is available at any point in the medium, these four equations, or in general, these four equations will be satisfied. So, since the medium is source free, these four equations are satisfied. And now we take the second equation, del cross H is equals to J omega epsilon E, and find curl of both the sides. Okay, when you do that, del cross H is a vector identity. And this vector identity gives del cross H will be equals to del of del dot H. That means curl of H is given by gradient of divergence of H minus del square H, where del square H is the well-known Nebula operator. Del square is equals to I del 2 by del x, del 2 by del x square plus del 2 by del y square plus del 2 by del z square. Okay, so it's a Nebula operator. And here we are having del cross J omega epsilon E. Since J omega epsilon is constant, we take them outside and we use only del cross. From the first equation, we have del cross E is equals to minus J omega mu H. Okay, I have written this identity used for expansion of del cross H here. So del cross E is given by minus of J omega mu H, substituting here from equation number 1. And from equation number, this fourth equation of Maxwell's equation, del dot H is 0. That's why the first term is also 0. So what we have is minus of del square H is equals to J omega epsilon into minus of J omega mu H. J into J square is minus 1, minus into minus plus 1. So we have omega square mu epsilon H. All the things on one side, we have del square H is equals to del square H plus omega square mu epsilon equals to H. If we consider omega square mu epsilon as a constant, why omega? What is omega? So omega is the frequency of the wave, frequency of the electromagnetic wave propagating, or electromagnetic field of oscillations of electromagnetic field. So omega is frequency, which is generally constant. So omega is constant. Mu and epsilon is permeability and permittivity of the medium respectively, which are also constant for a given medium. So omega square mu epsilon is a constant, as a positive constant. We consider it to be a positive constant, say k square. So omega square mu epsilon is k square, and that's why the equation can be written del square H plus k square H equals to 0. And this is well-known wave equation. The solution of this will give you a propagating wave. Okay. And if you go on solution, if you find in your books the solution for the equation, you found that the equation are of the type some constant into e to the power minus jkr upon r. Okay, so in this manner, we can prove the first part. And similarly, by eliminating h using those four equations, you can easily prove that del square e plus k square equals to 0, where k square is given by omega square mu epsilon. By the way, k square or k, later on when you solve this equation, you find that this k is given by the, or this k is known as, is given a name later on of phase constant. K is given by 2 pi by lambda, and this 2 pi by lambda, the lambda is the wavelength of the wave propagating, and you can find the, or you can uh, very well prove k is equals to 2 pi by lambda from this expression. Omega is the angular frequency, so omega is angular frequency, which is equals to 2 pi f. F is the frequency of the wave propagating. So when you substitute here 2 pi f, or when you think of k square is equals to omega square mu epsilon, k will be equals to omega root mu epsilon. Omega will be substituted by 2 pi f, and mu epsilon, square root of mu epsilon is equivalent to 1 upon c, the speed of light. In any medium having permittivity epsilon and permeability mu, 1 upon square root of mu epsilon is the speed of light in that particular medium. So root mu epsilon will be 1 upon c, and consecutively you have k is equals to 2 pi f upon c, but f upon c is 1 upon lambda, and correspondingly k is given by 2 pi by lambda. Hence k is actually a quantity which is equivalent to phase variation per unit distance. When wave travels by unit distance, how much phase variation takes place is the quantity k, and that's why it is known as phase constant. Okay, so these that's all for our problem session number 2, and next session we will perform some more interesting problems on antenna and wave propagation. Okay, so thank you, and thank you very much.